I love the books. You know, you go out every day, you never know what you're going to see.
Well-known appraiser Kenneth planned to become a chemist, but his life went in a different direction when he took a year off from his doctoral program.
My father's health wasn't that good, so that year now is 40 years. But it worked out great for me, it worked out great for him.
Now, the Brattle Bookshop is Ken's lab and books are his study. His parents bought the Downtown Crossing shop back in 1949. Ken was born a year later and grew up surrounded by books.
Literally, I grew up in it.
After taking over the shop, Ken started gathering thousands of his own stories to tell.
I got called a few years ago out to a house, and the woman actually had some very nice things. It was on the vineyard, actually, which was interesting to go out to. But she had an autobiography of Jackie Robinson. Now, it's a $10 book. I mean, it's a good autobiography, but it was inscribed to her mother. And Jackie Robinson said, "Dear Mrs., thank you very much for letting me live with you for a year while I first came to New York because I couldn't rent. Nobody would rent to him in a nice area of New York because he was black." So he lived with this family for the first year that he was playing. And I said to the woman, I said, "Gee, what was it like having Jackie Robinson living with you?" And I realized, first of all, that she was probably 3 or 4 years old. It wasn't, and she said, "He was cute."
And this is just a sampling of the marvels Ken encounters each day. Over the years, he's touched the original Mayflower Compact, read Paul Revere's account of his famous ride, and went through letters written by the first presidents.
But one of the ones I really liked, there was a letter of Thomas Jefferson talking, and this was just after 9/11, and he was talking about how to treat traitors and terrorists. I mean, he actually used those words, what you do about traitors and terrorists, and his conclusion was you give them the full protection of the law and absolutely nothing else. He was talking about the War of 1812.
Though Ken spends most of his time at the Downtown Crossing shop, he makes an effort to reach out to surrounding communities.
This is a way for me to get out and meet people who maybe don't come into Boston all the time. You sort of see different people, you get out into the community, and the goal is that you want people to call you.
Ken spoke at the Bridgewater Public Library on October 8th. People came in droves to have their treasures appraised by a man who's appeared on the Antiques Roadshow.
The first book I have here is, it's actually an interesting case, but it's Livingston Lost and Found, 1878. It's in good condition. You see it in here. But one of the things about it that's interesting is this actually isn't the whole book.
After the talk, attendees stood in line, clutching their encyclopedias.
The thing is, encyclopedias, informational books like this, you can get it all on the internet now. You don't need the book anymore.
Classics like Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway, the way you tell the first edition on this is it should have a little tiny A right there, and it doesn't.
And a variety of documents.
A lot of these sort of port documents, business documents, those are the type that come down through the families.
The highest appraisal was an Agatha Christie book.
I would double check on this, but I think this is about 300 to 500.
But more often than not,
unfortunately, they're nice books.
No,
not even close.
Ken does welcome the appraisals, the chance to meet people and give advice to aspiring collectors.
So I always encourage getting in touch, calling, and also if you just are starting out or you want advice. I mean, one of the problems when you ask somebody, and that's myself and people who work who really love what they do, and you ask them a question, problem is to get them to stop answering.
On the next edition of Bridgewater This Week, Ken will talk about what makes a book valuable, and we'll share 2 of the most sought-after items out there. For Bridgewater This Week, I'm Alicia Fortin.